Hi guys, welcome to Clockwork down to Noodles, the channel where we are breaking down the case study of Vanitas. This is episode number 4. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed because my schedule went out the window a while ago. So there's a few weird videos going up in weird orders. Some things got dropped, some things got picked up. I intend to have a schedule out quite soon because I think I've worked out the new schedule, so that's all good. Also coming your way quite quickly is the mid-season review, my halfway review, which seemed to do quite well last time, so I'm bringing it back. In this review, I will tell you my top 3 OP, ED, and my current standing of what are my top 3 anime of this season, because it's been a very interesting season, and I've got a fair bit I want to say in that video, so make sure you don't miss it. There is a Discord channel too, in case you want a notification to your phone, and it's a good place to lurk and get notified whenever I take a little break or something. I have taken a break this week because I am sick and we're going through a heat wave, so it was very, very bad over here and I just simply didn't really have the energy to do extra videos on top of what I was doing. So let's kick back into Vanitas, because Vanitas is certainly an anime which has got a growing mystery starting to build. There's a lot building, and this week we learn a few interesting factors. Mainly, something I do think is quite interesting is the Babel incident that we are told in the beginning. I also really like the way this anime does its storytelling, and when it came to telling us about the scientist or the philosopher, the way they show it with him all sketchy and it's like a proper artwork of him trying to work out what's going on. I really like that. I think it's really nice the way that it storytells, because at times the anime comes across as a story, a big storybook, a child's story, and what we do see a fair bit of in these first few episodes we've had, there's always been Noe being told a story by his teacher. We'll talk about the teacher a little bit later on, but I think the storytelling in this anime is quite interesting, the way that it's being set up. After the Babel incident, we start to see the blue glowing flowers and we had the vampires starting to appear. So this incident is what kicked off the world that we are in, the world that Vanitas is now finding himself in, with the airships and everything. That this is the incident that was like a trigger moment. The anime also is setting up the colour oppositions, the red versus the blue. This is being set down quite nicely visually as well, with the flowers actually looking quite chill and gentle. I've often said that blue is actually quite the calming colour. It wouldn't surprise me if the anime did do a 180 and almost bait and switch the idea of blue being bad. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it's going to do that somehow. But the teacher, let's go on to the teacher now, because he's been a figure who keeps coming up with Noe, and he's a very important role in his childhood and his growing up, and he's also the guy who tells us a lot of these stories. A lot of the stories that are presented to us are often narrated by him. The voice is very familiar. I need to go and have a look at who it is, because it reminds me of Shigure, but I don't think it's the same voice actor, but it's got that kind of feel to it. It's got an edge of mischievousness, if that makes sense. They're telling a story, but there's definitely something behind the voice. He's also very mysterious. We have yet to have a full face reveal with him. All we can really tell this time is he's got yellow hair. We don't have a full lockdown on what the guy looks like right now. But he is a very key figure and someone we need to learn a bit more about, because he was the one who tasked Noe to appraise the book of Vanitas in the first place. And he also seems to suggest, whilst he's telling the stories to Noe, that if he was to tell these stories in a slightly different manner, they would be perhaps perceived in a different manner. Maybe the stories aren't quite the 100% truth. So maybe the stories we're hearing are hiding something, or there's elements that have been omitted. So he's a very interesting character I'd like to know a bit more about. Young Noe is absolutely adorable. I love him to pieces. I also like the fact that we get to see his curiosity at such a young age, where he just wants to hear everything. He's got a curiosity for learning things which are new to him. The visuals are pretty, the red moon and the flowers, very, very contrasting when it comes to visuals. I think they work really, really well. Noe getting his very intimate moment with Domi this week, and it's an episode which also, it happens, and it just it's got a really weird vibe when it does occur. But Vanitas seemingly can hear everything, and at the same time, though, he does look like he's quite sad. I don't know why. He's got a look of lamentation on his face where he's looking out at the moon sitting in the afterglow of the moon. It looks like he's in like a blue spot, which I think is quite nice. But welcome to the ball, and there's quite a few things I want to talk about with the aesthetic of this ball in particular. The chandeliers are definitely inspired by Katuna Hora, the bone chapel of Czech Republic. Go and check out the pictures. I have been there myself. It's a really surreal experience of going in there, and there's people with kids and like buggies and everything, and there's bones everywhere. There's a bone chandelier, there's bone pillars. It gives me this feel, and I like it. It's very macabre, and we've got these reds and golds that kind of highlight the fact there's also a stage in the background too, leading into what I said earlier about the fact that the anime feels like it's trying to give us a story, an actual book, or perhaps a stage element to it. This idea of theatre is going on behind it. It's a Venetian feel once more with these masks and these brightly coloured outfits, but it also gives me an odd resemblance to the parade sequence we saw last week, which is definitely picked up on too by Noe. He also seems very uneasy by how it reminds him of that moment where he saw all of the masks and he saw the charlatan itself. I think it's a little bit odd that as well it turns out that the charlatan is closer than you think this week. We've just got everything looking very similar, which I don't know if that's a similarity or a coincidence, but it seems a bit too much to be a coincidence. Noe ends up seeing a automaton, which he does say is quite odd. So at the same time, we see how curious he is. He has definitely got a curiosity to explore everything, and I like the fact that it's there. But it's also odd because he says that the automaton should not be there because the vampires don't like the human technology. So that definitely seems not to be the case, that somebody within the castle that we're in, I think we know who it is right at the end, actually seems to have a thing for wanting automatons around, which could be perhaps something being set up for a little bit later on. Now, we get a few twists this week, and the first twist is that Luca is actually Lucius, and Lucius is able to save Noe, so Noe is lost at that point. He ends up being separated from Vanitas. But the next twist is our Hellfire Witch not looking very good. She's definitely seemingly burning up, which is similar to when we first saw Amelia. Domi ends up going all dominatrix on Vanitas and his butt and decides that she wants to find out what the hell he's hiding and what his secrets are. Domi essentially is questioning Vanitas' loyalty. Theoretically, she does say that you should be holding a grudge against the vampires, but here you are screaming about trying to save them, which is where I said there's a lot of things that don't quite lead and match up right now. So it's good that she's acting upon her instincts. It may seem a bit odd that she's attacking him for no reason, but at the same time, trying to stand her ground and maybe perhaps as well trying to prevent something bad happening before it happens, because she believes that Vanitas should be there attacking them. It's really odd that he's there saying, actually, no, I want to help you. Now, the Vanitas chandelier section is very reminiscent of the Phantom of the Opera, and I love that to pieces. A very big, massive kudos over here as a huge fan. But it is a very important sequence because Vanitas is there in the open in front of everybody. And this is because he's trying to get a few points across, and this is done on purpose. Number one, he's trying to prove that he exists. So here I am. This is me. I am the real deal. Here is the proof. He's got the mark on his arm. Next up, he's trying to also show that he has got power. So he's showing that the book that he holds is real. The book I have here has got power. And thus he then states his mission again. I am here to help you. I'm not here to slaughter you. I'm here to help you. Probably the most interesting line of the whole declaration is, I am here for vengeance against Vanitas. Maybe Vanitas himself didn't want to inherit the name. Perhaps there's going to be a little line here that we're going to find out a bit more, a bit further on down the line, about how Vanitas even inherited the name in the first place. And let's talk about our new character, because I absolutely love the design on this character to pieces. Veronica. Veronica's entrance, and she's surrounded by the automaton as well, which is raising a few questions. I really like the look of it, the white hair as well, hidden underneath a mask, hiding something in particular. We also get a hint of the power as well, some ice powers. That also matches because she's got white hair. White hair is often given to characters who can be quite cold at times. They are calculating. I personally would not be messing with Veronica. She scares me and she gives me that the vibe that she might have a bit more information of what's going on, more than she's letting on. But she's definitely there with the automatons, which we have been told shouldn't really be there because vampires don't really care for human technology. Veronica ends up leading the manhunt to kill Vanitas, which is why I said she definitely gives me the heebie-jeebies. I think she's a character we don't want to be messing with, where things now get interesting in our final section. The final section is 2 sequences layering up at the same time. First of all, we've got the Hellfire Witch and we have Vanitas, and then we've got the fight with Noe and the Charlatan. First, let's deal with Vanitas and his new intimate moment with the Hellfire Witch. But we also are told that Luca is also a new fan of Vanitas. So Luca is trying to see them again, which is good because I definitely think the first meeting where Vanitas was there and he proved that he was the real deal and he was there to save, that's had an impact on Luca, and I think that's cool. And Luca definitely seems a bit more friendly as well, willing to actually try and save Vanitas before he's murdered by all of the vampires in the building. In this moment as well, when Luca is whisked off with Noe, we also see that the parade demon is present. So the charlatan is present at the ball. It raises a lot of questions because obviously it's there and that's where people are and it's interesting. And we also hear a song or a lead female vocals leading a trigger, something that it actually audibly triggers the curse bearers to go initially insane. Interesting things. We're learning much this week about the idea of curse bearers, and that's when we find out that the Hellfire Witch has been cursed and she is struggling right now. Now, the fight with the Charlatan, we can quickly talk about too, is absolutely gorgeous. I love the light during this section, the light on his face, and we've got a beautiful room lighting on Noe's face too. The beautiful music as well, the music shift, it really feels a bit carnival-esque, the word I'm trying to look for here. It's a nice action-packed sequence where the camera angle too swaps according to where the blade is or where Noe's face is. Vanitas getting his chance this week to also experience the intimacy of a vampire bite. Maybe he was jealous of Noe and getting intimate with Domi and he wanted to experience what happened. I'm not quite sure what would happen with him because he's a human being bitten by a vampire. I'm guessing nothing will happen. It depends on what universe you're in. Sometimes people say that if you're bitten by a vampire regardless, you will turn into a vampire. Don't think that's going to happen with him because he's also inherited the name Vanitas, so perhaps he's got something that protects him from turning into a vampire. Going to be interesting to see what the implications of this actually mean. The Hellfire Witch ends up taking a fair bit of his blood. This is all done because she is motivated to help out Luca. So if you want to help Luca, you need to do this. The scene is a little bit awkward, but we do get to see that red filter is a bit weaker, but it is still present. The red filter generally means bloodshed or it means danger. So this is a very dangerous sequence. And at this point in time as well, everyone in the building has suddenly been triggered to be a more rogue vampire. I think becoming a curse bearer vampire, it seems to make these guys lose touch of reality and they turn quite roguish. Noe ends up facing off against the charlatans. That is where we end. It's an odd sequence because the charlatan seems to be right there at the heart of the vampires within this ball where a lot of vampires have gathered, and he's there seemingly unnoticed by the others, or perhaps the person who has noticed them is trying not to be linked with them. I want to know a bit more about Veronica. I want to learn a bit more about that. There's a lot of characters who I'm starting to go, I'd like a bit more information. But we're definitely building. The anime is starting to build up some mystery, and I think it's definitely started to become very interesting. What's going on? What's going to happen? How are we going to fix this? And now Vanitas has been chased down by every vampire in the castle. Lots of interesting things going on. I can't wait to see where it's going. And why is the charlatan right there? Is Noe at danger facing the charlatan? Lots of good things. And I have to say as well that ED is really growing on me. I am addicted to that song. I think it really fits. I like the song in general. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. It really helps me out. We are having a very quiet patch on the channel, so I would be appreciative of any new followers on the channel too. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.